Welcome to the Big Meat Kickoff. I'm your host, Kevin, and let's turn on some light. It is Friday, July 18th, getting started a minute early, which is something that we normally don't do. This is 2 shows in a row that we've started early. I guess I've just been chomping at the bit to get going and get the show. We're going to go 45, maybe a little shorter. It just depends on where the conversation takes us. Again, have not really promoted the show. I think people will start to flock back as we get closer to the football season. We have Big Ten Media Days coming up next week. Ohio State speaking on Tuesday. We will be there. The full team of Buckeye Huddle will be in Las Vegas. So any super chats that are sent to us maybe will be used for a Hungry Huddle. I have a couple of ideas. I know nobody's really on the show yet, as people are just starting to show up as they're getting the alerts. If you want to get an alert, if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to hit the bell. First and foremost, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 30,000 subscribers before the start of the season. It don't cost nothing. Hit the bell, hit the thumbs up. All of that helps us out. Be sure to get your questions in. If you're listening on your favorite podcasting platform, which means that you're listening after the fact, write us a 5-star review. That certainly helps us with our distribution and everything there. Why am I doing a show today? I mean, I came up with a topic and everything else. Lisa Sims saying, good afternoon, Kevin. Go Buckeyes. Good afternoon to you as well, Lisa. Hope you are doing well. I come up with topics because I have to promote something. And if people don't want to talk about those topics, obviously they can they control the narrative of what we're going to talk about here. Now, there's obviously going to be certain topics that, I'm not, qualified to talk about. It's not necessarily my in my wheelhouse or whatever. I'm closing out my email program, so it quits ringing on me. But we're pretty wide open with what we will talk about here. So if you want to talk about Big Ten Media Days, we'll talk about Big Ten Media Days. If you want to talk about win totals, we'll talk about win totals. Just know that I prepare certain things, and you may ask me a question and I'm unprepared. But we'll talk a little bit about an upcoming decision for a recruit coming up here at 5 o'clock. That's another reason I want to be done by 4:45. Plus, I'm going to dinner with a new friend, somebody who is helping me get through some difficult times. So yeah. So anybody who's out there who hasn't said hello, please say hello. I know that if you're watching us on Twitter/X, you have to kind of jockey around to get to that point. But what I really need to do, and maybe after Big Ten Media Days, is just say, to heck with it. We're going Monday, Wednesday, Friday, come hell or high freaking water. And if we do that, then you know when I'm on. Then you don't have to follow me on Twitter. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, let me just put what that is. It is Kevin_Noon. So there we go. So my on X, I am Kevin_Noon. If you are not following me, I believe this show is broadcasting on our company channel versus my personal channel. So you may not know, but that's another way to get in touch with me. So let's talk a little bit about what Lisa says, that she is not on Twitter, and that is fine. I'm not on Blue Sky. I'm not on Threads. I'm not on any of the other ones. I do Twitter, but you know how to get a hold of me. I mean, you first and foremost know how to message me through the system, so you know how to get in touch with me. And if anybody wants to email me, I'll put it in, and people are going to be like, "That's your old site." Well, I still have the email account, so you can always email me at kevin@buckeyegrove.com. And, bear with me. I do get a lot of email every day. Granted, most of it is just junk mail. I need to get off of all these lists. I just haven't had the chance to sit down and cancel all of those. Doug Shepard says, hello, gang. Hello, Doug Shepard. Hope you're doing well tonight. It's not tonight yet. It's today. 4 o'clock here on the east, 1 o'clock out west. So we will be on Pacific time. And I'm sorry that you're hearing the dryer going on right now. You can tell I'm getting ready to go on a trip because I'm getting around to doing laundry. So that was not ideal for that situation. Hopefully it is not too loud. Mike Schaefer right now says, is it going to take a player getting suspended from some of these outrageous NIL deals to be revoked? Well, here's the thing. A lot of NIL deals aren't even going through in the first place. You have Deloitte, this NIL Go clearinghouse, that's kicking all of these things out. And you have Congress on the other side. It's like, you are supposed to just adjudicate these deals. You're not supposed to interpret what the House settlement was supposed to be. So, to Mike's comment, to Mike's question, I'm not going to name a kid. We're going to just name some random specifics because I'm here about player empowerment. The second I start, being negative about kids is the second other kids don't talk to me because, I saw how you treated so-and-so. But let's say you sign a 3-year deal for $6 million. And I am assuming that is what you're talking about is the ridiculous deal. Now, that is a deal that happened prior to that July cutoff date, June 30th or whatever that was, because now the way that the deals work is they have to go through it either comes out of the pool, and Lisa, I see your 2 comments. I'll get to those in a second. You either come out of the pool of $18 million or you have a real NIL deal that has to go and pass the sniff test through Deloitte. The problem is that a lot of these are not passing the sniff test. Now, Jeremiah Smith signing his deal with Adidas, obviously that worked. I don't know the financials on that. I'm sure it is nice. Adidas has done a really good job of going after collegiate players. Shame on Nike, but it is what it is. I'm not here to tell Phil Knight how to make money. He's forgotten more about making money in the last second than I've known my whole life. So it's I don't know if there's a way. I mean, who's going to suspend a player for these NIL deals? Are the schools going to turn on themselves? Are the schools? I mean, because what power does the NC2A really have at this point? Water, not vodka, I promise. So, I mean, what power does the NC2A have to do this? The NC2A serves at the pleasure of the member institutions. Now, obviously, you're going to have a lot of member institutions that are going to want everybody to play fairly. You have certain member institutions that are taking a much more conservative approach to what the NIL rules say and mean, and where collectives fall into the midst of things. Basically, we have not had any clarity whatsoever. Clarence, for fans of the Airplane movie, we've not had anything that has come out of the House settlement. It's just more confusion in a lot of ways. Now, we had a great sit down as a group with Ross Bjork, and he explained some things, but then immediately we saw things going on that were kind of counter to what he was saying, and not counter at Ohio State, just counter. So I don't know if we know, but let me go through these 3 that I've got here, and Mike, if you still have questions on it, we'll jump into that. Again, we're looking to go about 45 minutes, so we got about 35 minutes left in us. I want to be done by about 4:45, so we can be free and clear for the Guilford announcement. SEC just had their media days, and it was an SEC Love Fest. I can't wait for the Big Ten media days. I mean, would you expect the SEC media days to be an SEC hate fest? This is the time where nobody's. I mean, I'm sure that there are coaches that have an issue with another coach or something like that, but you bury it and you smile and you flash those pearly whites and I love my conference mates, and the SEC, it just means more, and blah, 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 blah. And, God bless Shoney's. I mean, whatever. And you're going to have the Big Ten media days, and it's going to be, love this conference, 2 straight national championships on our way to a 3rd, and, love this conference, and go Wendy's. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, yeah, they generally tend to be a little bit of a love fest. Uh, the podium stuff and all the podium stuff will be live on BTN. We will not be putting any of that up live. We will be putting it up after the fact, but it's generally the press conferences that are done at the breakout session. It's those conferences where I think the more meaningful conversation comes out, because when you have the big press conference that's on TV and you have a lot of national media and you're going to have, somebody from the Las Vegas penny saver, and they're going to just want to be able to get themselves on TV, and they're going to ask a question that you're going to be like, what the hell was that? What was that all about? But when you get into the breakout session, generally beat reporters, whether or not it's of the school of that coach or player or of a rival school, you're going to get better questions, and we're going to get all of that posted. Now, the big $1 million question is going to be, how good is the internet going to be? We're in Las Vegas. It's a city that used to, had the Consumer Electronics Show and all sorts of other technology-based type of events. But, will the internet be good? Because it just depends on what the Big Ten ordered. If the Big Ten ordered, we just like to have a little internet, or we'd like to have all the internet. I mean, there are going to be limitations and everything else. Lisa, again, I just read an article that said SEC teams are ranked higher than any Big Ten team. In what? Maybe that's what your follow-up was here. No, that's not there. Ohio Bookseller just jumped in. We'll jump to that. Hey, how are you doing, Ohio Bookseller? Glad you are with us here at this point. I mean, obviously, Ohio State and Penn State are like 2 and 3 in national title odds, according to a lot of the books. So I don't know. Well, now the washer and the dryer are done. As you can hear, my Samsung appliances serenading me with, I don't even know what the tune is, but so I don't know what they would be ranked higher in. Obviously, the bottom of the SEC might be ranked a little higher than the bottom of the Big Ten. I think the bottom of the Big Ten is pretty gross. I'm not exactly sold on Purdue or Northwestern. I mean, I think that some of these teams have have some issues. But Lisa, jump in again if you can with more clarification there. That would help. I've been watching any Buckeye videos this week. Every team is undefeated in the preseason, and a third one from Doug Shepard. The best thing about the 12-team playoffs is it gives more fans confidence that their favorite team has a legitimate chance to win the championship. Well, that's true, because when it was a 4-team playoff, what was it? 7 teams could win the national championship, if we're being honest. Maybe 8. Well, now we know that it's 12 making it to the playoffs. So we would think that, like, at least if you were a top 17 team, that you're going to think that you've got a chance. Now, maybe maybe of the 12 teams in the playoffs, there are going to be some ones where it's like, yeah, we may win our conference, or we may get the second bid out of our conference, even though there aren't guaranteed bids for ACC2 or anything like that. But we're probably not winning the Natty, but I do think it does create more excitement on the front end. So I don't disagree with you, Doug, when it comes to that. Lisa says, just waiting to see if the overall media gives the Big Ten as much love as it seems they're giving the SEC. Now, I guess the first question is, why does that matter? I mean, do you get an additional win because the national talking heads like you? I mean, sometimes it's just better to be unliked, I guess. And I think that the top of the Big Ten is going to get its due. I mean, obviously, Ohio State being, I think, 3 in the betting odds. I think Penn State is 2 in the betting odds, but Ohio State was number 1 in the betting odds up until SEC Media Days. Maybe we see those numbers flip-flop once Ohio State is put on center stage. But again, it doesn't really matter at this point. You can sit there and you can look at the next cut in the Big Ten and be like, well, what do we expect out of Oregon and Washington and Illinois and USC and maybe Wisconsin. I watched a decent amount of SEC coverage on SEC Network, and Peter Burns just loves him some SEC. His job responsibility is to fluff the SEC, and he does that with reckless abandon. There's not a doubt in my mind that it doesn't come unnaturally. It is there. It is real, and he just goes for it. So that's fine. That's fine. That's his job. Now it's going to be on Jerry DiNardo and Howard Griffith and the people on BTN to do the same. But of course, we'll hear the things too about how SEC Network has more coverage or whatever, what have you. I mean, I have DirecTV. SEC Network is 611. Big Ten Network is 610. So, you're going to get more carryover into Sports Center. But who watches Sports Center these days? Who really watches Sports Center? I couldn't tell you the last time I watched Sports Center. Now, if I worked for Sports Center, I would watch it. But I don't. I don't work for Sports Center. I don't. If it's not like there's enough game coverage on ESPN outside of football season, outside of college football season, for me to carry over and watch. So, are you really talking to the hardcore sports fan on Sports Center? Or are you talking to somebody entirely different? And I think you're talking to somebody entirely different, because all of the hardcore sports fans gave up watching Sports Center a long time ago. I mean, I know I did. When they got, I mean, if you're going an hour and you are just sports news, and like it's Dodgers Yankees playing each other in interleague play, or it's whatever. Not only do I want to see those highlights once, I probably want to see them 3 times in that hour. But they get off onto doing some of these other things that have nothing to do with sports coverage, and I mean, I just don't like it. So, what is ESPN wagging the dog? Is it the tail that is wagging the dog? Because I just don't think that there are a lot of I don't think that your top end sports fans are watching the show. Now people may say otherwise in the chat, and I understand that right now we have 127 people watching through 3 platforms. I need to start promoting the shows better, but I don't have enough of a sample size to skew the nation and say this is what's going on. But I know none of my friends watch Sports Center, and there's no competitors. So it's not like they're going and watching, the Fox Regional Sports News, which of course I was biased towards because I worked for that. I worked on that project for almost 5 years. But there's no there. I mean, I go and I get my news through social media, and then if I know that I need to look up something, I hit it through a search engine and go to find it. So there you go. There you go. Doug Shepard says he wishes there was an edit option on the chats. Yeah, the problem is since you're probably consuming me directly through YouTube. I'm using a third-party platform. Once things get sent from the third-party platform to YouTube or X or Facebook or Twitch or what have you, it's out of their hands. Would it be impossible for there to be an edit feature? I don't know. I do like sometimes where there's not an edit feature, because I don't like the idea of somebody going in and asking something and then changing. They get their answer or whatever, and then they completely, and I'm not saying that any of y'all would do it. They change their answer or they change their question to make it look weird. So I think sometimes just having real, this is what I typed, and if it's full of typos, so be it. So be it. Lisa followed up by saying it was preseason rankings. I guess I just read the article quickly. I mean, and I'm not here to call you into question. I think you read it quickly. I think you read it quickly. There's no way that the 16 teams of the SEC are ranked higher than any team in the Big Ten or whatever. I mean, maybe you read something that was SEC rankings or whatever, so that's the only reason you saw SEC teams. I am the biggest culprit of hit and run reading. The biggest culprit of hit and run reading. look on the phone and see something, and it doesn't stick, and I'm really bad about that. TE13, hey Kevin, always love the live shows. I'm going to try and do more of them. I'm going to try and tape a couple while I'm in Las Vegas. Now, best laid plans of mice and men. I always have plans of doing this. If the room is small, if the internet is garbage, there are all sorts of pitfalls, but definitely want to do more. Lisa Sims, oh my God, what do you think about David Portnoy joining Big Noon Kickoff? I won't be watching any of the pregame shows unless they are here. I've not stopped watching any of these shows because of somebody that's on it. Are you going to tell me did you stop watching Game Day because of Desmond Howard? Maybe you did. We all have our own parameters as for what we find acceptable and what we don't find acceptable, and what crosses a line and what doesn't cross a line. So I can't tell you what on there. I don't know if look, they had Clay Travis on Fox, and I don't really feel that he added anything. And that was kind of a deal because Fox took a bit of an ownership stake in Outkick.com, which was Clay Travis's property, and it was kind of a cross promotion thing and things of that nature. I don't think that Fox is buying into Barstool Industries, so it's going to come down to personal preference. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. I'm going to watch once, maybe not the first week because I'll be at Ohio Stadium, but I'll watch once and make a judgment, or I'll DVR it and say, well, that was terrible, or that was fine, or whatever. Here's the thing. Portnoy is a big Michigan guy. Ohio State fans naturally are going to dislike him because of that. This has nothing to do with Barstool. This has nothing to do with Pizza Reviews. This has nothing to do with any of their other shows. This has nothing to do with Big Cat. This has to do with, I don't like him because he is an unabashed Michigan lover and Ohio State hater. Fine. That is absolutely fine. I have certain shows that I don't watch that are not sports shows. I just don't watch because I don't like the star. I don't like the message. I don't like whatever. And I'm not going to get into those. It's all a matter of personal preference. It's like armpits and other things. We all have them and they all stink. So I'm not going to get into my opinions on things that I've gone out to avoid. But there are certain shows that I've made it my mission to avoid because I have a philosophical reason of not liking it. So if you feel that way, then look, if the numbers come back and Big Noon Kickoff, the pregame show goes down half a point in the ratings, they're going to have to wonder why the heck that happened. What's different? What's different? I think Portnoy will be entertaining. I'm not saying that he will be agreeable. I'm not saying that he'll be great. I'm already calling it right now. He's going to call for Texas to beat Ohio State. If he's given any sort of a soapbox to talk about it, he is going to absolutely say that Texas is going to beat Ohio State. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that, with him doing that, because then if Ohio State wins, it's all the sweeter. If Ohio State loses, it's going to, nobody around here is going to be happy anyway. So what does it matter? I'll jump in here to continue on the Portnoy conversation because we have a couple of comments here. TE13 says Portnoy is awful. Mike Schaefer says Lisa, Portnoy is such a joke. I think they're going to give Urban a heart attack on air this fall. It'll be interesting because you have Urban who comes at it from such a professional, tactical type of position, and you have Portnoy who does his, if Michigan is down at the half in a big game, goes on and does like a state of the state type of, podcast on X or whatever. Two very different approaches. We saw Charles Woodson and Urban Meyer get along. Will Urban Meyer and Dave Portnoy get along? I don't know. Will Urban Meyer know who Dave Portnoy is by week 6 of the season? Probably not. But that's just an Urban Meyer thing. I don't think Urban knew. I don't think Urban knew who his kids were sometimes. I mean, just because he was so narrowly focused on the task at hand. I mean, if you were a first-year player on a football team, on one of his football teams, there's not a chance in hell he knew who you were. Not a single chance he knew who you were. Not only did you need to wear your first and last name on your helmet with tape, you probably just needed to wear your jersey around all the time. And even at that point, he would probably still call you, hey, 36 or whatever, instead of calling you by name, because that's just the way that he worked. That's just the way that he worked. T13 says it was ESPN metrics saying the 11 toughest schedules in college football are all SEC teams. Sorry, dry mouth right now. That's fine. Does what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Nothing. It has nothing to do with nothing. Ohio State is going to be favored in all 12 games that it plays this year. Book it. Now, does that mean that Ohio State's going to go 12-0? I think it's more likely Ohio State goes 11-1. It's really hard to go 12-0 in the regular season. We don't see, I know that with conferences and everything else that top teams will play each other at times and somebody's getting hung an L at that point, but I don't see a situation of where there's going to be 6 teams that go through Power 4 and maybe the best group of 5 league and are all undefeated at the year. So they got what they wanted out of this article. You're talking about it. And I don't mean just you specifically. I mean you as in people are talking about it. And that is what we want. I want people talking about my show, and maybe I should go with some more hot takes and things like that, and maybe I'll revamp it and become a little bit more of a hot take machine. I don't know if I'm necessarily comfortable being that guy, but I need ratings are ratings. And if I could sit there and we could have 1,000 people on instead of 160 people on, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I'm going to reset here as we're close to the bottom of the hour. This is the Big Meat Kickoff. I'm your host, Kevin Noon. It is July 18th. We're going to go about another 15, 17 minutes, something like that. I'm trying to go about 45 minutes so we can be free and clear for a commit announcement that's coming up a little later. And I have to get out of here and head to Groveport to go see a new friend who is trying to help me through some grief. But there you go. Oh, you can help me. You can help us out by signing up for Buckeye Huddle first and foremost. By doing that, Tom, Tony, myself cover the team. Mark covers recruiting. We got Ross and his team of experts covering X's and O's. Andrew doing a lot bit of everything on the boards. We got the Huddle board presented by Jeff Ruby Steakhouse Columbus, the most chill and awesome community in all of Buckeye Nation. Why not? Why not get on board right now? Give it a month. Give it a month. A month will get you to like 2 weeks before the start of the season. Not a month. Give us 2 months. Give us a year. Stay forever. All of that is good. All of that is good. We need people who kind of disappeared on the summer to come back home to Buckeye Huddle. Let's keep going here. They seem to prop up SEC teams as long as they can, just to justify it. Again, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? I mean, they can do whatever. They can come out and say that Slippery Rock is the number 1 school in the nation. It doesn't make it real. I mean, if I'm going to start speeding up on some questions just because, as I said, we're getting into the final 15. They can say it, but if Ohio State goes out and beats Texas, if Wisconsin goes out and beats Alabama, what do you say at that point? I mean, the Texas game is at Ohio State, but the Bama game is at Bama. Now, I'm not expecting Wisconsin to go down to Tuscaloosa and win that game. I am expecting Ohio State to win the game against Texas and Columbus. But there's no real there are no ramifications based on what's said. And if the committee continues to just use ESPN FPI and things like that to determine rankings and seedings and everything else, then the whole system's broke. Then the whole system is broke and you need to start over and you got to figure it out. And look, I understand that there are biases and arguments and recency bias and everything else, and you're going to have the bias of ESPN certainly has a vested interest in talking up the SEC. It has no financial interest directly into the Big Ten. It has zero parts of the contract. Now, I'm not going to say there isn't a financial incentive. Ohio State moves product. Ohio State turns on television sets. Ohio State being in the playoff, good. Vanderbilt being in the playoff, bad. I mean, so there are certain aspects that have to be taken under consideration there. But they're going to sit there and protect their investment. And I mean, we want to sit there and be able to say that every week we've got a game between top 15 teams. So we're going to sit there and try and put out the narrative that all these SEC teams should be in the top 15. Well, you do you. You don't necessarily have control over the coaches poll. You don't necessarily have control over the AP poll. And then once the committee poll comes out in November, you just kind of have to roll with that. We got another one. Oh, yeah, ESPN has created some terrible metrics over the last decade, but that somehow always favor SEC, such as SOR, FPI, etc. Yeah, FPI loved Ohio State last year, probably until it didn't. But, I mean, so top teams are always going to rise to the top, but maybe there is some data manipulation in the middle to make their middle look better than the other middle. But, I don't know. Ghoster says that Dave Portnoy is 5'4". I've never met Dave Portnoy. I don't know that. I always figured he was taller, but I can't. I mean, I've watched his pizza videos. I can't say that I've sat there and been like, all right, I gotta. How many large pizzas tall is he? I've not gone through any of that. You never know who you may run into in this industry. You never know who you may be asking for a job at some point. So I'm not going to take a shot at Dave Portnoy. I'm just not. I don't like the fact that he's so unabashedly Michigan, but that's his right. He can do whatever the hell he wants. He could do whatever the hell he wants on that. Ghoster also says he's not intimidating and has a not sports background. But he has a background that has gotten him onto Fox. So, Fox certainly sees something. And look, you had Pat McAfee on WWE doing commentary. He stepped away. I mean, he was a football player. At least he had a sports background, but he didn't have a sports entertainment background. How the hell did that genesis happen? I just don't know. Mike says, reminds me of when they put Dennis Miller in the Monday Night Football booth for entertainment reasons, and it failed miserably. Yeah, we were a different society at that point. We were a different country. We were still consuming our entertainment through network television, some cable, but we weren't using this, and we weren't. I think the Dennis Miller thing would work more now, but I still think it would not work. But it would be more successful, but still not work. Doreen says hello. Hello, Doreen. I hope you're doing well. We had a chance to have a cup of coffee here recently. It's always nice to be able to get out and to see people. Doreen is one of the best out there, so I definitely appreciate everything that she brings to the table. Lisa says, just say some outrageous things about the SEC against the Big Ten, and you'll get all sorts of ratings. I could, but I'm trying to get people to sign up for Buckeye Huddle. That is the main thing here. And if I come out and I say all this stuff for the SEC, I'm not signing up. I don't want to follow that idiot. I mean, so I have to be mindful of that. Kevin, if you had true serum, what is the one question you would want to ask one specific Big Ten head coach? Sharon Moore, what did you know? He would never answer it. I would probably get hauled out of there for asking that question. If I asked it like that, I would. But that's low-hanging fruit. That's low-hanging fruit. I think everybody wants to know what's going to be said by Michigan, and here to tell you, I don't think that they're going to be able to say much, not unless the NC2A drops the punishment while we're all in Las Vegas, and while the NC2A claims not to be looking at the calendar on things like that, I don't think they would do that. Hello to Terry. I hope you're doing well today. Mike says, what is the over-under on how many games Sherrone Moore will coach this season? Well, he has a 2-game suspension in theory, so we're already to 10, which means we have to set the line at like 9.5. But the assumption here is more suspensions coming. I think so. I would put the over under at 5.5. I'm basing that off of a lot of opinion. I can assure you the NC2A is not leaking information to anybody on the Ohio State beat, on the Michigan State beat, on the Michigan beat. They're not leaking information. Anybody who says otherwise is just selling you a faulty bill of goods. Nothing is being leaked at this point. But I think that, in Sherrone Moore apparently knew more than what was let on, and I think he's gonna get dinged. I do think he's gonna get dinged on there. Let me go here and say from Terry Reese Davis, like Paul Feinbaum said on the podcast, Texas is going to beat Ohio State. Can't wait to see them make excuses. It's going to be a game between two top 5 teams. It's probably going to be a 3-point line, 4-point line. I don't know. I don't know what it's really going to settle at this point. Ohio State probably shouldn't have lost at Oregon the first time around last year. Ohio State certainly shouldn't have lost to the team up north. So, things happen. I mean, I could see a situation of where Julian Sayin kind of goes through some very severe growing pains, and Arch Manning doesn't have to go through those as much, and that Texas is able to keep Jeremiah Smith somewhat quiet, but they don't have the same. They don't have everybody on the back end that they had before, so they may challenge with that. I mean, what do James Peoples and C.J. Donaldson look like compared to Trevion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins? There's a lot that could be said there, but yeah, there'll be some excuse making, and I guarantee you that if Ohio State beats Texas, the first thing that'll come out is just wait till they play in Austin next year. Just wait till they play in Austin next year. But I think if the roles were reversed, it would be the same. Let me go. We're back to Portnoy. I will never work for him. I hear you. Again, I'm very happy where I'm at right now. I have no plans of going anywhere, but I also know that I have kept every door open more or less in my career by not going out and taking shots at personalities. I guess the only thing I've ever really taken a shot at is who the hell watches SportsCenter right now. So maybe that would hurt any chance of working for ESPN. But my turnaround on that is you guys, let me help you regain the power user as opposed to what you're doing now. But it is what it is. Who watched the ESPYs, by the way? I didn't watch them. Sports already have their own awards. It's like MVPs and the Heisman in college football, and the MVP is again whatever. I like Shane Gillis, but I just knew it wasn't. I would rather watch a Shane Gillis stand-up special than watch Shane Gillis recite jokes that he may or may not have written. Steve off of X says, my guy Noon is one of the best on the Buckeye Beat. I appreciate it. And Steve reposted the stream. We really appreciate that as well. We make sure to put this on X. Consider checking us out on YouTube at some point as well. And then for people also who want to help us out, again, I want to do a Triple H. I want to do a Hungry Huddle. Need some super chats to make that happen. There are a lot of places that we could go. No, we're not like talking about going to the steakhouse at Circus. We're not talking about going to Tom Colicchio's restaurant. Not talking about going to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant or anything like that. But super chats, always appreciated. We don't ask often for it. I'm not going to sit there and stop the show down and be like, until I get a super chat, I'm not doing anything. But that's a way that you can send your love But the other way you can send your love, or an additional way you can send your love, is by signing up for Buckeye Huddle. 7 minutes left. We will start to speed up a little bit more. I apparently something I said, the TE13 said, oh, it was about the Tamor. What did you know? What did you know? When did you know it? Whatever. Dustin Nicely, yo, Kevin and Buckeye Faithful. We got that going on there. Steve Sarkisian, or Steve saying Steve Sarkisian is good, not great coach, in my opinion. Washington and USC stints, he was mid. I think one of the things I will say is he is a fantastic coordinator. The year in 2020 when he was the coordinator at Alabama and they just, they tied Ohio State up in fits with that offense. I mean, he did a hell of a job. Now, granted, Ohio State, let's not forget, there were different COVID testing standards, and the Big Ten's was very invasive and very severe. The SEC was like, are you dead? No? Then you can play. So Ohio State was depleted. But I don't think if Ohio State came in 100%, that it was going to make a difference in the outcome. It wouldn't have been that score. It wouldn't have been that score. I think Ohio State would have played closer. But, but back to Sark, I really like his roster this year. I really like his roster. I think that there are, what is that offensive line going to look like? How many times have we said that for Ohio State? What is that offensive line going to look like? What is a Texas offensive line going to look like? That is going to, and that means so much more week 1 than it does week 9, because week 1, you still have a lot of questions. They've not had a chance to gel. Sure, they've had all of fall practice to go through and work as a unit and everything else, but it gets different when you're blocking somebody wearing a different colored jersey who doesn't know every, you don't know all of their plays and vice versa. So I hear you. Mike Schaefer says, can you send us a free Burger King Whopper coupon if we sign up for Buckeye Huddle? If you sign up for Buckeye Huddle, I will do a piece of Burger King content. Now, that doesn't necessarily get you a Burger King coupon, but if you sign up and reach out to me on there and it says, hey, because some people sign up as their name, and some people sign up, oh, I'm Buckeye fan 1478. What is 1478 significant of? Not a damn thing. I'm just making up names. So, you would have to reach out to me and say, hey, it's Mike Schaefer from the board. And if that were to happen, I would do something Burger King related, for a hungry huddle or something, or bring it onto the Big Me kickoff or whatever. We don't have a Burger King in Pickerington. We did, and it was horrible Burger King. And I mean, I only went there like twice, and that was to get Cokes. But it's a Popeyes now, so I would have to either do this on the road or really, really plan to go find a Burger King, because I don't know where one is. No, I do know where one is in Reynoldsburg. I do know where one is in Reynoldsburg, over by Basement Solution. So it's not exactly right by the house, but it's close enough that I would do something. So the ball is in your court. Let me do it higher. The ball is in your court. 3 minutes. Let's get through this. Florida Buckeye, one of my favorite pitmasters. Hey, Kevin, got a few tomahawks in the fridge. Perfecting my recipe for next May. Can't wait. Go Buckeyes. I owe to you as well. I'm glad that you're there. Doreen has reposted the stream. Like that as well. Terry says like and share. Like that as well. All of this is all very positive. JC says, if the host is the only thing people are talking about, then your award show is pretty useless. Well, and that's a thing. And I don't want to get into 10 minutes, because I want to be off the show in 3 minutes, because I'd like to try and fold laundry and get the last load in the dryer before 5 o'clock. There were a lot of people that came out who were like, I don't like what Gillis said, Shane Gillis said. Well, that's fine. You know what? There's a lot of stuff I don't like either, but I made the decision not to watch it because not because I didn't want to see Shane Gillis, but I just had no interest in the ESPYs. I mean, how full of yourself do you have to be to sit there and have an award show and name it after yourself? And it just feels so contrived. Now I'm really hurting myself for getting hired by ESPN. It just feels so contrived and everything else that, I mean, I just don't care. I'll tell you this, I would be more, I have gone and watched 5 or 6 clips of Shane Gillis jokes, and they're funny. not, his usual raunchy self, but they were funny. But, I certainly saw former ESPNers who were having a fit and whatever. And it's a free country. You can be mad. You can be mad about it. But you know what you did? You watched. You made the decision to watch. You knew who Shane Gillis was. You knew who Shane Gillis was. It's like, Shane Gillis did repeat the joke that Norm Macdonald made when Charles Woodson won the Heisman about, the OJ joke or whatever. It's like, you're the first defensive player in a long time to win this. And Gillis made it about Travis Hunter and did give credit to Norm Macdonald. He's like, you're the first defensive player to win this. It's a tremendous honor. Hold your head up. Nobody can take it away from you unless you kill your wife and a waiter. Now, I don't necessarily condone the joke or whatever, and don't tag me on it or whatever. But Shane Gillis told the joke, and I think that Norm Macdonald got away with it better because people were not as far up in their feelings as they are now. Terry says, Doreen, you going to the celebrity softball game? And then Terry says, am I covering the celebrity softball game? I'm not. I don't know anything about the celebrity softball game. I do know that there was a camp at Ohio State for special needs campers, but I wasn't able to make it. I've just had stuff off and on all day. Doreen gives the 3 laughing crying emojis, and Doug Shepard says, Florida Buckeye, I've been wanting a tomahawk. Yeah, me too. I have not had, I don't know if I've ever had a tomahawk. Doreen says that, yes, she is going to the celebrity softball game. I live out in Pickerington, so, I have to have a damn good reason to head into campus. It's 30 minutes each way if I don't hit traffic or whatever. So didn't really think things through when I moved out here. But we are at 4:45. Boom. We hit our mark. I'm going to probably take it to 4:46 because I don't know how to shut up. But I want to thank everybody for joining us here on the Big Meat Kickoff. Once again, I am your host, Kevin Noon. Be sure to check us out at Buckeye Huddle. Sign up for Buckeye Huddle. Tom, Tony, myself covering the team. Mark covering recruiting. Ross covering X's and O's with his team of experts. And Andrew working the boards. All of that at BuckeyeHuddle.com. I will see you guys from Las Vegas. I don't know how much will be live. I don't know how much will be taped, but we will be doing some shows from Las Vegas. So keep it locked in here. Be sure to like us here, or be sure to subscribe to the channel at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming from Tom and Tony with Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning and the Buckeye Weekly podcast. But until I talk to you from Las Vegas, always bet on black, and I'll talk to you very soon.